Okay, now this story is a really, really embarrassing story, and it's the kind of story that if I were in my 30s or 40s, I wouldn't be telling it. But I'm 55 years old, I don't give a shit, so. Graduated from college. My first job was in Cleveland, Ohio, and I didn't know a soul there, so I'm trying to meet people, find friends. And I fell in with this group of guys playing softball who, how would you describe it? We have this deep bond of being all incredibly, painfully, paralyzingly awkward with women. That was our commonality. And if you want to be uncharitable about it, it was kind of like this loser club. So we would do things like, we'd have activities, we'd do things like go to bookstores and try to work up the nerve to go up to women in the women's studies aisle, and then we wouldn't get the nerve to do it, and then afterwards we would like all these recriminations and why couldn't I talk to her, stuff like that. We do stuff like go to the singles night at the bar of the Beechwood, Ohio Holiday Inn. That was a good one. And basically our big activity was sitting around, hanging out, sort of talking about, whining about how we didn't have girlfriends. It was a lot of fun. So one day we went over to the house of a cousin of one of the guys in our group, and this cousin was a little bit more worldly, marginally than us. And so we're doing our usual whining and whinging, and he says to us, you guys are fucking pathetic. You should do what I did. And we said, well, what did you do? And so he said, I'll be right back. And he comes back with this shoebox. And in the shoebox are all these letters. What he had done is he put a personal ad in and gotten all these letters from all these women. And for those of you who are of a certain age, personal ads in the 80s, that's what people did to try to meet people. Well, some people. Before the internet. So he takes this box, this shoebox full of these letters, and he just dumps them on the floor like they're a bunch of baseball cards. And we're all sort of pawing through these things, like chimpanzees, looking at them. And I pick up one, and it's this letter that's written on this light blue Snoopy paper. And this, the eyes are dotted with little hearts. And she's saying stuff, it's very standard. It's very, I really want to meet you. This is to the cousin guy. I really want to meet you, and I'm really lonely and stuff like that. It was very, And I'm thinking two things. First, I'm thinking, this is this dating world I'm now in after college, and how horrible is it that you pour your heart out on this Snoopy paper and you end up in this shoebox to be dumped out on the floor and rummaged through by all these guys, and it's like invasion of privacy, and it felt really unseemly and everything. And my second thought was, I could write a really great letter, because I thought of myself as this great writer, and I had all these theories like, wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to actually talk to people, you could just sort of write little notes to each other, and it wasn't my time, obviously, today, texting, God. So I thought, I could just write this great letter and be real witty and confident and all this stuff. But I thought, I'm not going to do that now because I'm not reduced to answering personal ads in a newspaper. So several years go by, I'm back in DC, and now I am reduced to answering. So I formulate this long, convoluted letter with, I think I start off saying something like, I've formulated this letter so that if you don't like it, you're someone I wouldn't like anyway, which is like saying, hello, I'm an asshole. And then I start talking about how I'm awkward with women, which is a really bad thing to put in a letter like that. And I come up with these theories for why this is so, and the theories are total bullshit, but I thought they were really clever. Like, what is I talk about this overbite, that slight overbite that I have because I didn't have braces. And then I launch into this long story about how when I was 5 years old, this little girl across the street had a piece of candy and she wanted me to cross the street to get it. And I'm going to read you how I ended this letter. I'm actually read you the words. And this is the embarrassing, actually, this has all been embarrassing so far, but this is the really embarrassing part. So I'll read this, and it's kind of novelistic, So, I thought about it a moment, then I dashed. Look out, she screamed. I froze in the middle of the road, my legs tightening. A black car, mountainous, with shiny protruding bumpers. You like that, protruding bumpers? Screeched and skidded. Behind the wheel, a bald head, a skeletal face, a jacket and tie, round, shiny glasses. To be continued. If you'd like to get together sometime, give me a call. Hope to hear from you soon. And I signed my name. So I write this letter, I get some carbon paper, make a bunch of copies, and I answer a whole bunch of these personal ads. And I think, obviously the phone's going to be, ringing. So a few days go by, no phone call. A week goes by, no phone call. And finally, maybe 10 days later, the phone rings, and this woman says, I got your letter, and I'd like to meet you. I'm thinking, fantastic. And then she says, that was quite a letter. And I didn't know if that was meant in a negative or positive way, but I had to assume positive. And so then I asked her, well, which one are you? And what I meant by that, and she tells me, she was unfazed, she said, and everybody has these little monikers in these personal ads, she says, I'm pretty, perky, and petite. So I go, okay, I remembered that one. So we made arrangements, and I'm thinking about it, pretty, perky, and petite. I started to get kind of excited. What are the odds of pretty, perky, and petite? Plus, she liked my letter enough to call. It's like this cosmic convergence. So I go out to where she lives, and in my 1981 Chevette, which is sort of like a cardboard box with wheels. And she lives in this gargantuan apartment complex, and I'm going down hallways and getting lost, and you're hearing like people's TV sets and smelling their dinners and just walking. Finally, I get there. The door opens. I knock on the door opens, and there she is, pretty, perky, and petite. So let me talk a little bit about those 3 adjectives. Pretty, she was all right. I don't want to, comment on that one way or the other. Perky, I'm going to get to perky, and let me go to the 3rd one. Petite, she was short. So perky, she tells me that she has allergies, so she's been taking cold medicine. So she's kind of in a stupor. So we go to this pizza place, and everything's all weird and disorienting. Like it's a pizza place with square pizza, like with Litos or something like that. And the conversation is not really flowing because she's in this Benadryl-induced coma. And finally, I'm dying to ask, so I say, "What'd you think of my letter?" Because she's not bringing it up, and she says, well, it was the longest letter I got. And then she tells me that she is going out with every single person that responded to her ad, including, and this is what really got me, some guys sent her their business cards, and she went out with them. So things devolved there a little bit. And then she tells me that her brother was the Terrapin mascot, the guy who dresses up in the turtle suit. So I said this thing, which I still feel kind of bad, it's kind of mean, but I thought it was back in my theory of being clever would be endearing. I said, oh, I can see the family resemblance. Which I just thought was a funny thing to say, So from that point, things devolved pretty much at the lowest possible point they could be. And the evening was very soon over. I walk into my house around 7:45. And my housemates are like, really? And so basically, that was it. My theory about this whole supremacy of the written word proved to be a complete failure in this case. But the postscript, of course, is that I met my wife in a writing class, so it, kind of worked. And so now that the story is through, I realize that it's still very embarrassing, and I should have waited until I'm 65.